What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Global Gaming Network channel, the place where we go over everything to do with esports across the entirety of the globe. On this show in particular, we take a more finite subject and we deep dive on into it. The topic for discussion today, the new 6v6 hero shooter called Marvel Rivals. This is the state of Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals Season 1 released on December 6th of last year, and 5 weeks prior to that, they had an invite-only closed beta time period where they had very notable players such as Nekrich and Shroud playing the game with their friends, talking about it and showing it to the world. Upon its release, NetEase came out and said they had 10 million plus live players on the initial release for that weekend, which is just nuts. And it continued to be congruently awesome as it topped the charts 14th overall. Very difficult to do in this day and age with the way that games come out from time to time. But when you think about it, Marvel Rivals does hold a little bit of a light to other hero shooters, mostly Overwatch. It is third person, plus it is Marvel characters. What's not to love? It took the world by storm, not to mention for Steam. Like I was talking about, Nekrich and Shroud both ended up playing this game quite religiously. Once the rank mode ended up coming out, they started hitting that even more so, trying to take a deeper dive into what the comp scene might end up looking like. If you're unfamiliar, Nekrich owns an organization called 100 Thieves. Shroud, if you're unfamiliar, used to compete in Counter-Strike, so you would imagine that they would probably get a good instance on how the game might feel from a competitive level talking to other notable pros in the hero shooter community. And so they did. With that being said, Shroud, during the Fragathon in his charity stream, hit a goal that if he hit said goal, he would end up starting an esports team called Shroud X. Like I said, goal was hit, Shroud X was now alive, and from time to time, Shroud will actually play on that team. But it goes even further beyond that. Shroud is actually in partnership with Sentinels, so he ended up helping handpick a lot of those players that are on that team currently competing. Sentinels, 100 Thieves, in another esport, the rivalry just continues to supersede even where we see it right now in Valorant. And it was a continuation of all of that. That Sentinels team, by the way, they signed Aramori. And if you're unfamiliar who she is, she joins an illustrious and yet short list of women to play at the highest echelon of an esport. That same 100 Thieves organization signed the most dominant team that was competing throughout the entirety of Season 0 tournaments. Everybody was expecting them to go somewhere. It turns out that it was to 100 Thieves. Those two teams have been facing each other more often than not, back-to-back grand finals appearance, but even more recently in the Season 1 championship, Sentinels got the better of 100 Thieves not just once, but twice, not dropping a single map along the way. That is freaking nuts. 3-0 in the winners finals, and then a 4-0 blowout in the grand finals. Safe to say that Sentinels is the #1 team in the world right now for Marvel Rivals, maybe barring some international competition. We'll have to see what that looks like later on down the road. The scene is new, which ultimately invites new players and old players alike. If you're dating all the way back to TF2, talking about old Overwatch players, organizations coming back into the mix as well, not to mention some new players coming in towards the mix. Again, it always ends up happening. You got 18-year-olds, they're cracked, they're dangerous, and they're probably going to be playing a lot of these hero shooters, so you know that your backline might not be safe if that Black Panther's going to get picked. But all of that being said, it is a third-person 6v6 game, and with that also comes its particle effects. Let's call a spade here. It is very difficult to watch this game of Marvel Rivals. The reason being is because it is in third person. And with all the particle effects happening, when you have 12 total heroes on the screen, it's very difficult to digest if you show up one day and say, hey, grandma, take a look at this. She's probably not going to want to sit down and watch it. In my opinion, we did not learn too much from Overwatch, and we really need to go back and try to figure out how to make this more digestible so that way the product can continue to grow. Shroud even asked on stream during the NA Finals, what is going on? Because it is that hard to figure out what is happening from time to time at the highest echelon of Marvel Rivals. When you got 12 ultimates online, you got Magneto's just yeeting Meteor M's all over the place. It's a lot to digest, and not to mention how they continue to release more heroes along the way, not to mention how they come with extra particle effects as well. The most recent one being Emma Frost as well. I think that you do have to keep an eye on this entirety of a hero structure for release plan for Marvel Rivals, because it's going to start introducing a balance in perfection, in my opinion. Let me explain a little bit more by that. The more you continue to release heroes, the less likely other heroes are going to continue to get balanced. We've already seen it in the past for Marvel Rivals from Season 0 into this point in time with the release of the Fantastic Four, Johnny Storm, not to mention Storm. That combination was freaking busted on rank. Luna Snow back in Season 0, way too overtuned. And even then, through all of these balances, you still feel like there are certain combinations that you feel like you just have to pick because they are that strong. But they're not necessarily being looked at nor patched almost immediately. I think that NetEase need to tread carefully on releasing heroes on launch every single month and every single season to almost avoid some cataclysm when it comes down to their community. But let me know what you guys think. I mean, releasing new heroes, new Marvel characters, as a comic book nerd myself, I'm very happy to see it, but I really want this game to do well, and I think that we should tread carefully as far as all of the balances are concerned. Let's get active in the comment section down below and start this topic of discussion. As well as Grand Finals for NA, it's safe to say that everybody wants to see this game do well. They had a total of 450,000 viewers at peak, so yeah. People want to see this game do well. By the way, Marvel Rivals, y'all need a caster? I might know somebody. But at the end of the day, it seems that we have a general consensus of how the tournament structure will end up going. We're going to have open qualifiers, so that way teams can end up battling their way to play up against other notable pros or other teams. And then we have the closed qualifiers soon afterwards. All of those matches are going to be a best of one, with each team playing a maximum of 10 matches. And then the top 128 teams from that Swiss system then advance into a double elimination bracket. You still with me so far? Because then we go into that double elimination bracket. All rounds through round 9 will be best of 3, rounds 10 through 14, best of 5. It's a very long tournament, but the lower bracket finals and grand finals will be a best of 7, accumulating into who is going to be the best team from that specific region. Was a little too much. Hopefully the graphic helps you guys settle all that down, as well as make sure you guys are going to Marvel Rivals and all of their social media so that way you can keep up to date for all the balances, all of the dev updates, as well as all the tournaments happening both in and out of the game, official or not. With all that being said, Season 2 is slated to launch tomorrow, April 11th, so you definitely want to be seated and be ready to play some Emma Frost in some of those ranked lobbies. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. How are you feeling about Marvel Rivals, or more or less my rant just about the particle effects and all the professional teams and all of that nonsense as well? Look forward to all of your comments, and towards the next one, this has been The State of.